Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Scripture Podcast. My name is Dr. Jerome Lavelle, and today we will be looking at the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verses 40 through 45. A leper came to him and kneeling down begged him and said, "If you wish, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand, touched the leper, and said to him, "I do will it. Be made clean." The leprosy left him immediately, and he was made clean. Then, warning him sternly, he dismissed him at once. And then he said to him, "See that you tell no one anything, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. That will be proof for them." The man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, and people kept coming to him from everywhere. Today in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verses 40 through 45, we hear the story of Jesus' healing of a leper and the aftermath. As I look at this scripture passage, what I see are the following. Number 1, leper comes to Jesus begging to be healed. Number 2, Jesus, moved with pity, says yes and heals him. Number 3, Jesus then instructs him to be quiet and tell no one, and then to go to the priest and ask for Moses' cleansing. Number 4, the leper in his excitement does not do any of what Jesus asks, but rather goes about loudly proclaiming Jesus' healing. And then number 5, word spreads of the healing, and Jesus is inundated with waves of humanity in the villages seeking to be healed, and that results in him staying away from the villages, but they seek him out even in the remote areas. Quite an incredible series of events. Well, as in other healings in the gospel, Jesus here again exhorts the person that he heals to go quietly and tell no one of the healing. It is as if Jesus is saying, "Keep quiet. This is just between you and me." And what is especially interesting in our case today is that he devises even what seems to be a plan to fool the church leaders. He tells the leper to ask for the cleansing of Moses that Moses prescribed, and that will explain the healing. It seems to me that Jesus was really getting into stealth mode with this particular healing. Well, there are other examples where we see this stealth mode in the scriptures. They include the 2 blind men in Matthew 9, various people with illnesses in Matthew 12, Jairus and his wife, and the healing of the daughter in Mark 5, the deaf man with the speech impediment in Mark 7, and others. And in each case, Jesus requests that they tell no one. And along the same lines, there are instances in the scriptures, in the Gospels, where Jesus requests discretion from his own disciples, asking them not to tell others of his works or who he is, such as in Matthew 16 and 17, Mark 3, 8 and 9, and others. So what do you think is going on with Jesus in all of these instances? And my assessment, or one thought that I have, is that this has to do with Jesus' timing. Jesus' timing, like him, is perfect. He's acutely aware of his mission and what he faces. He knows the political climate of the day and the expectations of what the Messiah represents and what the Messiah is to do and how it will be done. And he knows how different that his path forward is from that. And thus he knew when and when not to emerge. He knew when to be in the background and when to come forward. And thus he knew when and when not to use the silent mode, because he was compelled, because of his compassion and empathy as God, to heal those individuals that he encountered. As I said, his timing was perfect. As I reflect on God's timing in Jesus' life and path, it invites me to reflect on his timing in my own life. Now, the longer I live, the more I see how perfect his timing has been and is in me, in my successes and in my struggles, in my triumphs and in my defeats, when I have been on the top of the mountain and when I have been in the valley. God's timing has been perfect in my life upon reflection. He's given me just what I needed and when I needed it, even when I didn't want it. Sometimes it was a trial or a defeat or a challenge to overcome or a test. He knew exactly what was needed to produce in me what was needed: perspective, humility, grace, purity, increased faith, kindness, patience, temperance, and other outcomes. And so my reflection today is to recognize and give thanks to God for his perfect timing in my life. Just as Jesus had perfect timing in executing his mission and purpose, God in his time has perfect timing in my life. If I see the events in my life as part of God's perfect timing, I more fully embrace them, learn from them, and use them to glorify him through them. Today, I thank God for his perfect timing in my life. Well, thank you for joining the Daily Scripture Podcast. My name is Dr. Jerome Lavelle. And remember, our message of the day is God's perfect timing in our life. To know it, to see it, and to use it to glorify him. Well, until next time, be well and be blessed.